health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yes. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Friday, July 18th. And, you're going to love this, Jesse. Today is National Tropical Fruit Day.
Wow, you calling me fruity?
No, I was not. I just know you're like super organic and shit. You know what I mean? I personally like tropical fruit as well.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I don't understand why you guys are always trying to say I do slights this early in the morning. It's also National Sour Candy Day.
Sour Patch Kids for the win. Not good for you, but they're so fun.
They are. Sour Patch Kids are great. They are. Dr. Mark, do you like Sour Patch Kids?
I love anything sour, yeah.
All right. That's especially sour diesel.
Sour diesel.
Yeah, exactly. I knew exactly where you're going with that, buddy. Exactly. It's also National Caviar Day, Jenny Beth.
Are we celebrating that one?
Never been a fan. Not a fan.
No? I'm a fan of all things bouginess, bro. All things bougie, Jesse.
I mean, I like that it's bougie, I suppose, but every time I have it, I'm like, okay.
Have you ever had like the whole caviar spread? Like a real serious one?
I do like roe on sushi, like in certain applications. Roe is really good. But caviar by itself just never.
No, you can't have caviar just by itself, bro. You have to have it with like the whole spread.
Jason, that's just how it's served.
Yeah.
With the creme fraiche and the chives.
Yeah.
And
the whole thing,
but that's not like a real serious one. That's like what you do with it.
Oh, I have some pictures. I have some pictures of some real serious ones that are like way more like they're serious. They're way over the top.
Yeah, with the bread and the creme fraiche and the chives, I'm not into that.
I'm a big fan.
You're tripping, Jesse. You don't know what you're missing out on.
I'm a big fan. Yeah, I've had it on a hot dog before.
On a glizzy, huh?
Hot dog?
Yeah.
Caviar glizzies.
There's creme fraiche. The bun for the hot dog is more like the pancake bread that you get traditionally with caviar. And then there was like chives and caviar dollops on top of the hot dog.
Throw some relish on there and I might be down.
Relish would just overpower everything, wouldn't it?
Yeah, probably. Well, no. I don't know.
I think the right pickled flavor with that would be really great.
Well, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. There's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.high9news.com. So thank you all for joining us from whatever platform you guys are joining us from. And we are kicking it off with Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She's the founder of Kind Cannabis and of Justice Served, a 501c3 that helps justice impaired individuals get their lives back on track. And here to tell you about stories of the track of licensed Met track, it is none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
Okay, so I have an update for you guys on CNC manufacturing out of Springfield, Missouri, because Missouri's Division of Cannabis Regulation yesterday, revoked the manufacturing license of CNC manufacturing in Springfield. The decision follows a state investigation that dates back to an August 2024 recall when regulators found out CNC had been using THC obtained outside Missouri's regulated cannabis system, the process known as inversion. The department initially suspended CNC's license in September 2024, ordering the company to preserve both video footage and product samples for further review. After receiving formal notice of pending revocation in January, investigators discovered CNC had destroyed or removed all marijuana products and erased video records, prompting the official license revocation. You guys are just stupid, but we'll get to that. Regulators identified multiple compliance violations, including shipping Missouri-grown marijuana out of state, selling cannabis products not sourced from Missouri-grown marijuana, failing to track and trace products properly, manufacturing products with chemically altered cannabinoids, destroying products without proper record keeping, and ignoring directives to preserve both records and product samples. DCR Director Amy Moore emphasized the seriousness of the case, stating CNC's use of unregulated THC and destruction of records in violation of DCR orders demonstrates a clear disregard for the law and has no place in Missouri's regulated market. Oh, boy. Well, I mean, first of all, if you remember, this is the company who brought the guy from Oklahoma who wasn't supposed to be working in a license, who couldn't own a license, to operate this lab, right? So dude's pulling stuff from Oklahoma. Like, I don't know where this consultant came from. He needs to go back there. We'll just destroy the records. Like, that is the dumbest possible thing that you could have done. You were going to lose the license anyway, probably. But, you know, you could have maybe said, hey, we're going to get rid of this guy. He'll never operate in here again. We're going to bring in another management company. You may have had some kind of opportunities to fix something or save something, or at least, you know, say, all right, well, cool. Can we sell the license? Obviously, we're not allowed to run it anymore. They might have told you to go fuck yourself, but they might not have. But to destroy all the evidence and just erase the video footage, like, this is because whoever this guy is doesn't want to be seen on those videos. And they don't want to be seen interstate trafficking cannabis. But they know you did it. You're already caught for it. So I'll throw it back to you guys, but there's an update. They finally lost the license. You guys took it from bad to worse. I didn't think that you guys could do anything more dumb than you had already done. But looky here, you did. Congratulations. You win the Idiot of the Week award.
I just have to say, Jenny, dumb.
It's Tums to Tums, but it also gives me heartburn because this is fucking retarded.
It's not Tums, it's dumb. But nonetheless, yeah, I agree with you, Jenny. But these people are idiots. These are not the people that should be having these types of licenses. The deletion of footage. I mean, this is what's the point of even having the cameras if you're just going to delete the footage? I don't see a big point.
So that they didn't get seen on camera bringing in and bringing out product that was illegal.
I mean, you would think that that they would, before they did that, they could have been smarter and been like, oh, you know what, this camera's having a malfunction, that camera's having a malfunction, and then, you know what I'm saying, skirted it like that. But these guys weren't even smart enough to do that. I
mean, Jason, like, oh, God, you would think a lot of things, but they didn't think. So
apparently.
Yeah. And honestly, you'd be surprised how many people fucking erase the footage when they have an inspection coming.
Oh man, gotta love this space. It just never stops. I mean, and so now at this point, they have absolutely no recourse to obtain a license back. I imagine that they are blackballed from the state of Missouri in regards with ever having a cannabis license again. But I guess they could just jump into the hemp space if they wanted to, right?
Maybe, but yeah, I don't think that that's going to happen.
Do they get to keep their equipment, Jenny Beth?
They can't take your equipment, Jason.
So that's what I'm saying. They could just,
They're going to sell that equipment and recoup probably their legal fees.
I mean, they could always just start a hemp company, though.
Jason.
Just saying.
What is Missouri saying about intoxicating hemp cannabinoids?
Who cares what they're saying about it?
Well, somebody who might start a hemp company would care.
Let me tell you something. If they didn't care about none of this other stuff, you think they're going to worry about what Missouri says about a hemp company? Come on now.
I think they need to be worried about stacking as much cash as they can, because they definitely just got caught interstate trafficking into a licensed market, and that's a big problem. I'd be more concerned about making sure I have my coffers full of cash in case the feds try to pick this up.
Jenny Beth, I have a question. What's more egregious, the getting caught interstate trafficking or having minors at your facility?
Minors at your facility fully,
okay.
but also
the
feds have plenty of forces to deal with both at the same time.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Any of the doctors, Jesse, you guys have anything you want to throw in on this?
Actually, I'll go one step beyond that, Jason, because we understand how our government works, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our government is less concerned about the safety of immigrant children than they are on the tax dollars that they miss out. When they're moving products through state lines and stuff like that and shuffling product in and out, they're, more importantly to the government, evading taxation on all of that product. So they're not paying the right amount of money to the government. So honestly, I could see our government caring a lot more about losing money than they do about immigrant children.
Interesting. Doctors, Jesse?
Clearly, it's just an example of an uncompliant operator, and you can see that, as with Glass House, we've all known that they were non-compliant in so many ways for a long time, and looky.
Mm-hmm.
So once you're non-compliant, if you do it in one area, you're probably going to do it in 5 others.
Mm-hmm. Doctors, anything?
Well, I mean, I think the further away we get from trying to help a patient, the worse the industry becomes.
Yeah.
These guys definitely were far away from trying to help patients. They didn't even have that in mind.
Yep.
So I'm happy that they're not in the industry anymore.
Sweet. I'm with you on that, buddy. I'm with you on that. They definitely didn't have the patients in mind with all of their inversion treatment.
Yeah, and the lesson, if there are any lessons that Al Capone teaches us,
Yep,
is that the government goes after them for exactly what Jenny is saying, which is tax evasion.
Yep.
They want their money.
Yep. They want the money.
So, yeah, I mean that's universal. That's not just cannabis. If you're making money selling anything, they want their money.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Fair enough. And on that, we're going to get some money, and we are going to go into our first commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Test it. It's not a name, it's a promise.
And we are back, you guys.
Coming up next, the highest host. Oh, no, that's Adam Hill. Sorry, Adam.
Oh, my God.
The highest Republican, biggest head, knows everybody.
That's right.
Everybody knows him. Jason Beck.
That is semi-accurate, except for the first part, Jenny Beth. You know what I mean? But man, oh man, you were talking about enforcement, and man, I got some enforcement news for you too, Jenny Beth. Because New York investigations and enforcement actions ramp up with the OCM and TPB. That's right. The New York Office of Cannabis Management, the OCM, recently took enforcement action against a retailer and a manufacturer, resulting in a fine and heightened monitoring of the licensed operators. However, what is most notable is the role played by OCM's Trade Practices Bureau, that's right, the TPB. Its power and scope of investigations and prospects of closer regulatory scrutiny and greater enforcement action resulting from similar investigations. By way of background, the TPB was formed for the purposes of investigating the ethical standards, competition policies, and regulatory compliance of licensed cannabis businesses in New York. Operating within OCM's Office of General Counsel, the TPB focuses on uncovering complex or covert actions that purport to undermine New York's cannabis market structure and social equity priorities. TPB relies heavily on interviews, sworn and unsworn, investigatory hearings, and depositions, and looks beyond surface-level noncompliance issues to find deeper wrongdoing. TPB is staffed with a dedicated team of investigator attorneys, investigator inspectors, and data analysts tasked with conducting an in-depth investigation into potential violations of cannabis law and regulations, as well as utilizing the agency's authority to subpoena witnesses and administer oaths, and analyzing data and market trends to proactively identify threats to industry integrity. Sounds like pre-crime to me. On July 16, 2025, the OCM announced a settlement with a dispensary and a processor that resulted in the imposition of a $50,000 civil penalty per operator, along with 12 months of enhanced compliance monitoring, including additional unannounced inspections, new standard operating procedures, and enterprise-wide training on New York state prohibitions against cross-tier operations and arrangements. This settlement resulted from an investigation that purportedly found that the license engaged in prohibited cross-tier conduct, including unauthorized branding and promotion of cannabis products under a proprietary dispensary brand, a violation of cannabis laws and regulations. Importantly, both licenses had admitted that sufficient evidence exists to sustain OCM's finding of the violations. And importantly, the recent settlement is not the first such public evidence of increased investigations. For instance, the OCM has commenced investigations into larger cannabis brands working with licensed processors in the marketplace, and in particular, on April 7th of 2025, surprise audits were conducted at a licensed processor on Long Island. The investigation remains ongoing, and OCM has also issued broad sweeping requests for quarantine, including as recently as April 23rd, 2025, wherein approximately $10 million worth of vaporizers, pre-rolls, and other products were ordered quarantined. Allegations include that OCM is investigating the source of cannabis oil and whether it originated from outside legal channels. And some key takeaways on this are in regards with brands, license holders, and their TPIs, because for licensed operators, awareness of both the OCM and TPB's increase in investigations and enforcement against license holders is just as important as the underlying fines and penalties penalties imposed in TPB's investigatory aims are not limited to cross-tier violations, but also fraudulent activity, assessment of predatory agreements, as well as other regulatory violations. And given OCM's relatively hands-off approach to enforcement during the first several years of the program, including but not limited to OCM's intern guidance regarding changes to TPIs dated August 27th of 2024, and recent enforcement suggests that OCM and TPB are finally turning back to the task of reviewing and assessing contracts and agreements between and among license holders, as well as among individual license holders, true parties of interest. While the prospect of investigation by the TPB exists for any licensed business in New York, it is also important to bear in mind the rights and remedies available to licensed businesses. Indeed, in Part 133, in Part 133 of OCM's regulations, it identifies the nature and scope of investigatory powers of the OCM, as well as corresponding limits, as well as license holders' individual rights and remedies. For instance, Part 133 identifies the time and manner within which license holders may respond to allegations of regulatory violations and the ability to request adjudicatory hearings, as well as the manner and fashion that those adjudicatory hearings may be carried out. Again, understanding the context of OCM and TPB enforcement as important as understanding the license holders' rights and remedies once those investigations and or notice of violations have commenced. And in any regulated industry, the prospect of regulatory enforcement violations and challenges is always present, and in many instances, a business structuring transactions appropriately under the law in the first instance and preparing in advance for such questions and inquiries are the best defense. However, understanding the scope of any investigation and responding appropriately and timely is critical to any license holders subject to additional and or heightened scrutiny, as well as working with knowledgeable and seasoned professionals in responding to such inquiries. As most settlements indicates, while the cost of compliance is always high, so are the corresponding costs and risks of non-compliance and regulatory enforcement. Senate Appropriations Committee, oh man, you guys, that is pretty much it. So it sounds like New York, they're getting ready to ramp up on all of this stuff, you guys, and watch out, because I'm pretty sure they're going to be coming and doing a knock at your door soon. Then we're going to want to see what your contracts have to say and what your compliance records look like. And there has been a lot of action happening in New York and with this, and it just sounds like they're only going to be ramping up more. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Hey, you think they could enforce the illegal industry that's going on in New York half as much as they're coming down on the legal?
Well, it's easier to enforce on the legal side because they have to provide all the information on how to enforce against them already. So then they already have the roadmap.
I know, and this is the problem with legalization, as we call it, which is not really legalization, it's regulation, and those are different things, as I like to remind our audience. Signing up to be regulated is not the same as legalization, obviously, and this story is exactly the indicator of why. You're just signing up to be the most monitored person. That's all you're signing up for. And this is why the smart people in the cannabis industry are the ones who stay out of it right now.
Jenny Beth?
What?
Okay. Any thoughts on this, Dr. Mark, Dr. T?
I don't know. I mean, it's like, again, the trap market in New York is, I mean, the New York licensed growers are up against the wall because they have to exist in a regulated market where the trap market's gone bonkers, right? I mean, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel for my brothers up in New York. I know that there is some good product made in the regulated market in New York. I had a couple friends who are in the business, but I think New York, like upstate New York and the city, are just two different things altogether, right? It's kind of like, I guess maybe in a different way, Los Angeles and California, right, are two different things.
Oh, there's.
I'm talking about the market. So really, I mean, what Kathy Hochul ought to be doing is going down and trying to shut down all the trap shops. But we know that that's a futile exercise, and I think she knows too. So I mean, what do? They make some press about, clamping down on documentation of their regulated grows. I mean, why is this news?
Well, I think what it is like with the licenses, you're not allowed to be vertically integrated in New York, and so they want to see what these different arrangements.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, like you can't have a retail and have a processing or a cultivation or anything. It has to be all totally separate.
That's not true, Jason.
That is true. That's the only people that are allowed to be vertically integrated in New York are the prior medical licensees that had licenses prior to any of this.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. So I'm referring to those. So I used to consult for one of those. So that's how I know that. So I know that they are completely vertically integrated.
They're the only ones. They're the only ones. Right.
They only allowed, I think, vertical integration in their medical program. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
I think all 5 of those original 5 licenses, MedMed ended up with one of them.
Correct.
All 5 of those, Etain and Columbia Care, they were all vertically integrated, I believe.
Yep. Yeah, all of those were. That's how you had to operate under medical. But once adult use kicked in, they didn't allow for vertical integration. They only allowed for vertical integration.
Except for micro businesses.
Well, except for micro businesses. But you only micro businesses.
How long that went before I popped my little compliance licensing head in.
But micro businesses, if I remember correctly, in New York are only able to be obtained by social equity applicants. You can't just be a regular applicant and obtain a micro license in New York.
Aww.
And I don't think a micro license includes retail in New York.
Then how would they be vertical, Jason?
They can handle all of the other parts of the supply chain. I don't think they're allowed to have retail.
So they can only be 3/4 vertical, not fully vertical.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going into it right now, so you give me just a second.
No problem. Take your time, Jenny Beth.
Doing research.
I'm glad. I want to make sure that we're getting. Yeah, no, I want to make sure. I want to make sure we're getting the right information out. What's that, Dr. Mark?
Well, fuck, finally.
Can we agree that these regs are all screwed up?
Oh yeah. Look at that. That's something we can definitely agree on. The New York market is a total dumpster fire, as just as bad as California is.
Is there a good set of regulations in any state?
Missouri, I think, has the best. In my opinion, Missouri does it better than anybody else.
What about Missouri, Jason?
Why? Explain.
Well, first of all, their companies actually make money. That's one of the big reasons why, right there.
So would that be the tax structure, or would that be the licensing?
That means they're selling boof, right?
No, they just have
the patients getting good product.
Well, first of all, I mean, Dr. T, I don't even believe that patients are getting good product here in California. So you know what I mean? I think patients are getting good product if they're buying it on the trap. That's my personal opinion. And so I don't think a lot of any of in the regulated marketplace, because of the fact that everything has to be a consumer packaged good. I think that totally degrades a majority of these products and their shelf stability and whatnot. And I think the direct to consumer model is a much better way to go.
Is there a state that is pretty much farm to market, where you could basically have a farmer's market and go directly to the farmer as a consumer and buy directly from the farmer in a deli style?
California is about to be that way. I'm in Sacramento right now. We just passed AB 1332 through a committee. It's still going through the Senate committees, but it's moving fast, and it'll allow micro business to sell direct to patients.
A micro business in New York. Cultivate cannabis in a canopy, either indoors, mixed slide, outdoor, up to 10,000 square feet. Of the whatever. We don't need to break those down. Operate a processing facility to manufacture cannabis products. Purchase up to 500 pounds. Process up to 1,700 pounds. Sell cannabis to a duly licensed processor. Sell cannabis products it is produced to a duly licensed distributor. Distribute self-produced cannabis products to a retail dispensary. Deliver a micro business cannabis products to cannabis consumers. Be cannabis event organizer and sell cannabis products directly to consumers from the micro business retail premises.
Okay. All right. So they can. All right. Fair enough. How many? But that only allows them to have one location, Jenny Beth, with a micro license for their retail.
I'm looking.
Okay. The reason I say that because if I remember correctly, if you get a retail license in New York, you can have up to 3 locations throughout New York as long as you pass the clearance. If I recall correctly.
Oh yeah, wow.
So the audience is saying
and you do
Michigan
not have
has
to be a
that.
social equity applicant in New York to get a micro business, by the way. But your fees are reduced if you apply as a social equity applicant by 50%.
Interesting. Okay.
Mhm.
All right, I stand corrected. Fair enough. Where they say, oh yeah, Michigan has the best state. They have citizens that fight for it and less organized crime in the state government. But
Troy is saying they have a direct farmers market situation in Michigan.
I mean, we do have one here still currently here in California too, but they're only allowed to do it under special events and like only allowed to do it once a quarter per year kind of thing. And so I would necessarily wouldn't call that type of a marketplace, but you know, when you can only do it. You should be
able to, as a consumer, you should be able to drive to the farm just like you could with meat and buy the product directly from the farmer at the farm.
That would be
it's the stupidest thing in the world that we don't allow that.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason
AB
is
1332, it's coming.
I hope so, Dr. T. I really do. I mean, the fact that we've introduced this whole alcohol distribution model and made that the model that we've used, like that it's mandated by regulation that it has to go from the farmer to a distributor to a shop. Like, first of all, that just raises prices. It makes it harder to get fresh product. Like, there's so many problems with that model, and California started that, and every other state has followed suit, and it's just retarded.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's think about
actually Colorado. Right? Colorado started that.
360, huh?
Colorado started the thing with the distributors.
No, the fuck they didn't, Jason. You're absolutely fucking wrong.
I'm pretty sure California started that.
You're absolutely you're absolutely wrong. But thank you for interrupting me, Jason.
I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that.
So, I fucking do. I'm sorry. One of us operated in Colorado for 9 fucking years.
I've operated in Colorado when I'm in Colorado.
Yeah. Anyhow, flying in and out of DIA with weed in your pocket doesn't count. But moving right along. If you look at the way that California operated pre-64, right? How did most people, when they were going through things, like there were a lot of these little cute things called brokers. So like I jokingly referred to distros as the broker licenses because they are, right? They're the middleman licenses. They also have the regulatory burden of handling the testing and those things. And so because they've structured it in such a way, that is why we are stuck with this fucking model. And, you know, I operate distros, so I'm not like fully fucking mad at it. But, you know, let's be real. There's a lot of middlemen who were middlemen going forward, and now they own distros.
Well.
And no, Jason, Colorado started with a medical system that was fully vertically integrated. Okay. You had to grow most of the medicine that was sold most of the flower that was sold within your facility. Okay. So you did that. And then when adult use started, you're buying directly from the farm. A farm employee will take it to the retail. There was not a distribution in the middle.
I don't know about all that. The first distribution company I ever seen ever in life was in Colorado, so I'm not buying what you're talking about.
That's totally cool. It's not a license. I guarantee you it was a middleman who fucking just did Salesforce for fucking farms, Jason. I'm telling you, you're wrong. I operated in that state for 9 fucking
not too
years.
Sure I'm wrong about that, but whatever. I don't need to die on that hill.
Moving right along.
Doesn't matter. We can keep this rolling. We're going to roll right into Dr. Gene Talleyrand. He's the founder of the CESC and of Medican, where you can get your medical licenses with just a snap of the fingers and a point and click on the internet. That's right. It is none other than Dr. Gene Talleyrand.
Thank you, Jason. Happy Friday, everyone. Lively discussions today.
Yes.
Let's see. Study. Cannabis use alone not linked to heart function changes in young adults, unless combined with nicotine, by Anthony Martinelli. According to a new study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association, exclusive use of combusted cannabis does not appear to impact heart electrical activity in young adults. Researchers from the University of California, Los Angeles examined whether cannabis use affects cardiovascular health, specifically focusing on heart rhythm through measures of heart electrical activity, or arrhythmias is what we're looking at. About a month ago, we discussed an observational study that reported on the heart risk of using cannabis. If you recall, the study suggested that using cannabis changes blood vessels, making users more susceptible to heart attack or stroke. There are so many factors that might influence the observational studies, as we know. They are useful in developing theories. They're generally better with a lot more participants. The previous study had only 16 to 18 people per arm and was a relatively weak study, but it certainly was popular as it was released through several media outlets. This study is a cross-sectional study, which is a type of observational study again. It involves 134 healthy adults aged 21 to 30, split into 3 groups, so that's about 45 people per group. The groups were cannabis-only users, those who co-use cannabis and nicotine vape e-cigarettes, and non-users of either. The findings showed no significant difference in heart function between cannabis-only users and non-users. That's generally what I've seen in my practice. However, those who co-use cannabis and nicotine e-cigarettes displayed shorter repolarization activity, suggesting an increased risk of a sudden cardiac event like a heart attack or stroke. Heart attack variability and resting hemodynamic measures remained consistent across all groups. So that kind of contradicts findings. But clinical studies are redundant, as you can tell. They will keep happening with headlines claiming knowledge from one study to the other. Scientists will keep trying to answer the question, is cannabis good for you or bad for you? Much like the studies on the benefits of having a couple glasses of wine per day and heart health, we might never have a clear answer. The real answer lies with the individual. In this study, the chronic co-use of inhaled combusted cannabis and nicotine e-cigarettes was associated with alterations in ventricular repolarization, which is abnormal electrical activity. Exclusive cannabis use without nicotine was not. The study suggests that the use of nicotine e-cigarettes with cannabis is a health risk when compared to using cannabis alone. What do you think? Does this apply to you? Weigh the risks and benefits and decide what works best for you. This is Dr. Jean Talleyrand with High 9 News.
Dr. T, would this also imply for people that smoke blunts?
Well, they didn't study blunts; they studied.
But that's still tobacco.
Cartridges.
But still, you said people that smoked cannabis and tobacco though too, right?
I said nicotine. I think nicotine is sort of a generalization. This specifically only studied e-cigarette nicotine-containing vape cards.
Got it.
They didn't study wraps. They didn't study smoking regular cigarettes with smoking cannabis.
Got it.
So it's a very narrow study. Not very many people either, but more than the last one. You know, we're just getting rolling, and you're just going to hear a lot of back and forth, essentially. And you know, if you don't want to get sick, just let it pass by you, and you know, believe in what you're seeing. But you know, does that mean that we shouldn't have regulations? I think we need to not be selling moldy products or adulterated products.
You know, I wonder, Dr. T, if necessarily if the nicotine is actually the cause of this, or if it's just a lot of the toxins from the hardware of these these vape pens and whatnot.
Or it could be that people who do vape pens, do weed and e-cigarettes also have a drink every once in a while too. Drink more. You know, there's so many potential biases, confounding variables, that it's hard to really make clear conclusions from studies like that.
Fair enough. And we did get a super chat in from Troy Lawrence who says, JB, can we just go back to Measure Z Private Club of Oakland again? Cannabis is great for you, thus regulate the cure. Measure Z was pretty cool. I'm not mad at that. Measure Z was cool, but it was only available in Oakland. It wasn't even a statewide thing. So, that, I mean, Measure Z was basically, like Prop 215 days with, what I'm saying, kind of like DC, where you kind of self-certify that you're an adult and can go in and purchase.
Well, I have to say, back in the day, we did see pesticides in an autopsy of a woman who had a terminal condition and had passed.
Jane Warwick.
And the pesticides were coming from somebody's poorly grown cannabis. So,
yeah, but I mean, a lot of people used Avid back in the day. A lot of people used Eagle 20 back in the day, and it was very, very prominent. A normal kind of thing for people to use those types of chemicals in their to combat against pathogens and whatnot. That was very common, Dr. T.
So those who may be growing illegally may be doing that now. The trap may be doing that now. That's the problem.
I think the trap is using more PGRs more than they're spraying Avid nowadays. Maybe I'm sure the Eagle 20s are getting sprayed on a lot of stuff too. So but I don't think Avid is being used as even close to as much as what it was in the past.
That's good.
Jenny Beth, what were you saying?
I said they were using that to deal with russet mites.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You have any thoughts on this, Dr. Mark? We know you have a big heart.
Yeah, let's see, where do I even want to go with this? Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Tobacco is a dirty product. Nicotine is deadly. It's a toxin. 60 milligrams in an oral dose is approximately all you need to kill the average size human. So how do you possibly assess anything that's associated with such a deadly product? Does it make the cigarette, more deadly? Or, this disgusting, filthy habit of cigarette and tobacco use? I mean, is this, yeah. Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, imagine if 60 milligrams, Dr. T, imagine if 60 milligrams of THC was toxic, right?
I know they'd be having it would.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They'd be having a field day with this.
Yeah, right.
So again, I don't know, so how many milligrams of nicotine are in an individual cigarette, but isn't a pack of cigarettes like 20 ciggies, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's assume that there's, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 milligrams. That means that there's enough nicotine in a pack of cigarettes to basically kill you, right?
That's fair.
And we're worried about cannabis, right?
And we're worried. Yeah, exactly. Exactly my point. But I guess, Dr. T, I mean, there is, so the notion,
10 to 12 milligrams in a cigarette.
So you're familiar with Donald Tashkin at UCLA?
Yeah.
And Donald Tashkin's work. We've talked about this at High at 9, right? So, just to kind of, review this. So when the DEA was first formed, when the Controlled Dangerous Substance Act back in the Nixon administration was formed, they tasked Donald Tashkin, a noted doctor at UCLA Medical School, to basically prove to the world that that smoking cannabis is going to lead to lung cancer, just like they had recently found with smoking tobacco. And what did they find, Dr. T?
That it didn't. Maybe increased chronic bronchitis, but no lung cancer, oral cancers, no emphysema. Right.
And in fact, if I remember, so Donald is up on, he's kind of like a legend in cannabis circles. He's up on UCLA or up on YouTube, and you could hear him talk about it. When he goes through the numbers, he finds, Jason, that people who smoke cannabis have a lower incident of lung disease than people who don't smoke anything at all.
Yeah.
People who don't smoke anything at all have a higher rate of lung disease than people. So what that would say is that somehow when you inhale smoke or vaporize cannabinoids, that there's this prophylactic, protective effect that the cannabinoids actually have on the lungs,
exactly,
and in the alveoli. If you think about the pulmonary function, it's amazing, right? what happens is the blue blood, which is carrying CO2, has to come into the lungs, exchange the CO2 and pick up a molecule of oxygen and then turn into red blood. I mean, that's amazing. That entire process deserves a Nobel Prize in medicine. I mean, it's amazing that and now we're bringing smoke into that delicate biochemical environment where this crucial process that maintains our lives has to occur. So yeah, certainly inhaling. Like if you look at the filter of a cigarette that's being smoked,
ratchet, nasty,
tar and crap.
So
even
gross.
like the resin from your marijuana pipe. Like if you're smoking,
that's gross too.
And you see all of that build up in your bong and all that stuff is getting down into your lungs. So the fact that cannabis smoke does not lead to lung disease tell you that even though you're breathing in cars and you're breathing in probably combustion products that are no good, the beneficial aspect of what the cannabinoids do down in the lungs is to prevent, those kinds of materials from causing lung disease. So I think it does speak to, the notion that cannabis users over a long period of time that have been exposed to cannabinoids, who have taken these materials into their bodies. We know that cannabinoids are fat soluble, right? They're not soluble in water. So they deposit and are stored in the fatty tissues of our body, which include organs like the pancreas and the brain and other fatty tissues in our bodies that are basically protected from free radical mediated damage, which often causes cancer. So I think, again, just to go back to this, I mean, the study, I think, shows that when you combine cannabis with nicotine product, and Dr. T, they didn't talk about whether it was smoked nicotine or it was vaporized nicotine.
It was e-cigarettes.
E-cigarettes, it was vape.
So strictly e-cigarettes, Jason. So again, all the problems with the hardware in terms of any shiny hardware that comes from China could be contaminated with lead, could be contaminated with mercury, cadmium, some of these other things like that. Yeah, all that thing besides, these are the results from the study. I think it does, again, prove that cannabis use in general is going to protect your lungs and your body. Not saying that, the point that Dr. T brings up, which is an increase in bronchitis, is definitely a real thing. But I guess, again, there is some role that these compounds play in protecting our delicate tissues in the body, including in the alveoli of the lungs, from disease and cancer.
Well, that just proves that all use is medical use, right there, Dr. Mark. Because anything that gives you longer, better health in your cardiovascular system is gonna be, all use is medical use right there. Because it doesn't even
use, right? For that reason alone.
For that reason alone.
And the reason why it takes so long to pass a piss test is that our bodies have evolved ways to hold on to these molecules as long as we possibly can, which is why hydroxy and the other metabolites will still be in your blood system, because they're beneficial molecules to have in your body.
Just fascinating stuff, Dr. T. Fascinating stuff, Dr. Mark. Jesse, any final thoughts on this?
Oh, it's a cool story.
It's great.
I do think that the demonization of tobacco as a generalization is a little bit of a mistake. Tobacco's history before it was commercialized in America is actually pretty good. And there's some new recent studies that very small doses of nicotine do pretty incredible things in the body, especially for males. And if you look at the pre-commercialization of tobacco, the way it was used by Native Americans historically as a sacrament, it was used very sparingly. It's a completely different thing, and it does a lot of different things. So I would bring balance to that is the only thing I would say.
Well, in regards with all this, all use is medical use. I've been trying to tell this to people for a long time, and when you try to tell people that smoking cannabis is actually more beneficial for you than not than not, just for this one reason. Their minds just can't handle it. Their minds explode when how can putting any type of smoke into your lungs be actually healthy for you, and and this, oh man, their heads, they go.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing to know. We've known it for a long time. Especially those of us who
the tobacco industry is one of the industries that spends an awful lot of money in Washington, D.C. lobbying for maintenance of prohibition. So keep smoking, tobacco smokers. Billion-dollar corporations are relying on your filthy habits to fill their coffers with money so they can continue to spend millions of dollars keeping cannabis illegal. Sorry, Jesse.
No, Dr. Mark, you're right.
No, Dr. Mark, that's why I was making a distinction between the commercialization of tobacco, which I think is very dark and very dirty.
Yes.
I think you're using the appropriate words, and the historical sacrament use. I think that tobacco is still a plant medicine, just like every other plant medicine. And it's about the dose and the usage and the way we use it. And the fact that tobacco companies have commercialized it and use its addictive qualities as something to monopolize on and capitalize on is what I mean, is borderline evil. So to take something that is traditionally a sacrament that was used by the Native American peoples, and that's where we got it from, and to turn it into something that's addictive and to use it to control people, that is almost the definition of evil. So I agree with you wholeheartedly on that, Dr. Mark. I just wanted to bring balance and understanding that there's a bigger picture than just the commercial use of tobacco.
And lesson learned, Jesse. Perhaps this is also happening in the cannabis world. Where we had respect for the plant earlier, and now we're sort of losing respect by altering it, maybe for the better, but maybe for the worse.
No, 100%. I think that the way that we've gone about legalization is very similar. We're trying to, we talk about this as an intoxicant. We talk about it in the same reference, even as cannabis experts were responding to the way that they talk about it on the other side as though it's an addictive chemical. And the reality is, if you look at it the way it's historically been used throughout human history, well, first of all, it was probably food, and you had the hemp seed and you had the flowers that people were probably eating raw, and it was in, the cows were eating it, the pigs were eating it, so we're getting it through our meats. There's so many different things going on with the history of how cannabis has interacted with our bodies, and the modern usage of extracting THC and putting it into a crystallized form and dabbing it. Is that, are we changing the methodology and therefore changing the way it interacts with our bodies and even creating this propaganda by using it that way? I don't know, but it definitely raises questions.
Fair enough. And on that, we are going to roll into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back. And we are back. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.highat9news.com. And if you are a business that has been in a receivership here in California, you should reach out to me. There may be some kind of recourse I possibly may be able to help you out with. So get in touch and hope to hear from you soon.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
Oh, yes, and we are back, you guys.
So, coming up next, right from the lakes of Champlain, Dr. Lake Champlain, wherever the hell.
She just likes champagne.
He's got a house. He overlooks it. Anyhow, he's our resident chemistry expert, Dr. Mark Scialdone.
Oh, thank you. In fact, Jenny, that's how you know that Lake Champlain should actually be a Great Lake, right? Because with the Great Lakes, the word lake appears like, Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, Superior, Lake Champlain, right? So it's not Champlain Lake, right? So that's how you know Lake Champlain is actually a Great Lake. It should be a Great Lake, but it's kind of a little, disconnected.
We should start a petition.
Yeah, I think we did. I think the state of Michigan shut us down. Okay, so I'm going to talk today about what is this? Does everyone see that?
Lift it up a little bit. Lift it up. There we go. Right there. No. Go back. Right there.
Okay, perfect. Yes. CBD. Does everyone know what CBD stands for? It stands for cannabidiol. Okay, so we're going to talk today. So this is a wonderful article. In fact, it was cool that this was carried by Forbes, right? Because that way, again, Forbes is part of the popular press these days, and people are reading in their news feeds. And it's always good when these articles appear in Forbes because, again, it's going to help reduce stigma and help normalize. And so, this is a review today, class. 7 science-backed benefits of CBD, as appearing in Forbes magazine last week. So, again, we all know what CBD is, right? CBD is the non-psychoactive cannabinoid that's in cannabis, right? And so we know that it has a variety of aspects in terms of wellness. And so here's, again, a nice review article in Forbes that talks about 7 different studies that are all recent studies. And we'll go through this in a second here. So CBD, cannabidiol, or the non-psychoactive compound sourced from the hemp plant, is catching the eye of health enthusiasts looking for a natural way to tackle pain, ease anxiety, and get better sleep without the high that comes from THC. I don't know, Dr. T. They just don't like the high. Oh, well. Some people like it, some people don't. I happen to like it, but I guess a lot of people don't. Okay, thanks to the 2018 Farm Bill, which made hemp production legal, CBD has made its way into mainstream conversations about health. Does it offer benefits for your overall wellness? Well, we got to remember the other thing that we've always talked about here at I9 News. While it did legalize type 3 cannabis, which is low THC cannabis, high CBD cannabis, it never truly contemplated a route to market for CBD-containing products because CBD is the active ingredient of an FDA-approved medicine called Epidiolex. And it's against the law for interstate commerce of using an active ingredient of an FDA-approved drug in food, feed, or cosmetics. So stay tuned. We'll talk a little bit more about that. This article explains CBD, how it works in the body's endocannabinoid system, and the different types of CBD that are available to customers. It also explores potential health benefits of CBD, like pain relief, anxiety reduction, improved sleep quality, as well as the side effects to CBD to see if it's well worth incorporating into your wellness journey. So what is CBD? Again, we said it before. CBD is cannabidiol, which is one of the 100 cannabinoids found in the hemp plant. Hemp is any part of the plant Cannabis sativa that contains no more than 0.3% THC delta 9. Unlike the cannabinoid THC, tetrahydrocannabinol, CBD does not produce the mind-altering effects known as the high. While we know that CBD is not an agonist for the CB1 receptor, and it's delta 9 THCs agonizing the CB1 receptor that's responsible for that high. So the Agricultural Improvement Act of 2018, also known as the 2018 Farm Bill, removed hemp from federally controlled substance act, legalizing its production nationwide. CBD interacts with the body's endocannabinoid system, a network of chemical signals and cellular receptors that maintain homeostasis in the body, within the body. The ECS is crucial for regulating mood, sleep, appetite, pain sensation, and immune function. What types of CBD are there? Well, this is old hat for our listeners here, but we know that there's full spectrum CBD, which contains a variety of cannabinoids, including sometimes a trace amount of THC. If the THC has been removed, we'll often call that a not full spectrum, but a broad spectrum. So that's where THC has been removed. Sometimes that's being removed for legal reasons because companies don't want to have the risk of producing products that contain CBD in it. You could also get CBD as a form of isolate, right, which is purified CBD, which is pure CBD that's been isolated from these high CBD varieties. How does CBD work in the body? CBD interacts with the endocannabinoid system, which consists primarily of two cannabinoid receptors, CB1 and CB2. Well, that's not entirely true. We think that there's a whole myriad of cannabinoid receptors. CB1 and CB2 are the only ones we know about today. That does not mean that more do not exist. CB1 receptors regulate mood, memory, and pain perception, primarily in the brain and in the central nervous system, where the CB2 receptors influence inflammation and immune response and are located throughout the body, throughout your nervous system, or throughout your entire body. So that's what's sort of called the peripheral endocannabinoid receptor, which is your CB2 receptor. So what types of benefits? So when CBD is consumed, it binds to these receptors. Well, not necessarily. In the case where CB1, we think that it actually is what we call an allosteric modulator. So it modulates the activity of the enzyme in what's called an allosteric way. Allosteric is just a fancy scientific word for meaning that it's acting on somewhere other than the active site where THC acts on. So it is acting on a different site, which changes, again, the function of the receptor. And more research is needed. And here they say to consult your healthcare provider before using a CBD treatment option. See, as soon as you see that, Dr. T, now you know this article is definitely directed towards, kind of like the novice user, right? So they're assuming that these people who are reading this are thinking about wellness and thinking about their health, and maybe they're on prescription drugs, but here they say consult with your healthcare provider. So this is wonderful news for Dr. T, because this will bring more patients into Dr. T's office. So what are these seven areas? Well, the first one is pain relief. According to Jessica Plonchek, a licensed clinical alcohol and drug counselor and clinical director of Choice Point Health CBD, CBD helps modulate the receptors. So by modulating, again, it's changing the receptors, changing how they function. It also interacts with the serotonin receptors, Dr. T, and we all know serotonin receptors are responsible for moods. It's also, those are the receptors, Dr. T, right, that psilocybin acts on, right? Like the 5-HT2 and not. And then there's this other class of receptors called the TRPV1. That these are the capsaicin type receptors, where the molecule capsaicin, right, which gives peppers its hot flavor interacts with, all of which are involved in sending pain signals throughout the body. So research suggests that CBD may be effective at alleviating various types of pain, including fibromyalgia, arthritis, cancer-related pain, and neuropathic pain. The authors of the 2025 review published in Biomolecules concluded that while CBD shows promise in treatment of chronic pain management, alternative to traditional pain medications like opioids, more research is definitely needed. I think what I've seen in the literature, Dr. T, I don't know if you've seen these too, is where when you use CBD in conjunction with traditional pain medicine like opiates, it makes the opiates work better. So you could use less and maybe use a lower dose of opiates to treat the same amount of pain. I don't know if you want to comment on that. Anxiety, go ahead.
Absolutely agree with you. Keep going.
Okay, so the second area is anxiety reduction. CBD has been used to alleviate anxiety because of its soothing properties, according to Barney, MD, a double board certified psychiatrist and chief medical officer of Fire Pit Health. CBD is thought to exert its anxiety reducing effect by binding to the brain's serotonin receptors, he explains, as we were previously talking about. That's 5-HT2 and some of those other family of receptors that the psychedelic compounds act on. A small 2019 study published in Permanente Journal found that CBD significantly decreased anxiety in 79% of the participants. 79%, okay? I mean, Dr. T will tell us that when a drug works with a 79% success, that's a winner. That's a winner all day long. Some of the drugs that are approved in clinical trials only barely have like a 60% approval rate. This is showing basically 79%, which is really over the top anxiety reduction. In a 2020 review, the Canadian Journal of Psychiatry found that CBD may improve symptoms of anxiety and depression in individuals with mood disorders, although much more research is needed. So again, second area is anxiety. The third area is improved sleep, and that's something that we probably can all use, right? Because the body really, during its sleep, works on repairing itself. And I think one of the healthy aspects of cannabinoids is this sleep regulation property that it has. So it says that CBD may also contribute to better sleep quality, particularly in individuals with insomnia caused by anxiety and trauma, says Dr. Gianni. It is believed that CBD's relaxing effects on the body and the mind help promote restful night's sleep. In a 2019 study, it was found that CBD improved sleep scores in patients with anxiety and poor sleep quality. With an individual like myself, I suffer from something called obstructive sleep apnea. I'm sure you see a lot of people in my age demographics, Dr. T, that have this. I'm a little overweight. I'm a little jowly in the chin, right? And so what that means is when my body goes to sleep, my jaw relaxes and it pinches my airway closed, which creates what's called obstructive sleep apnea. And so I have to sleep with a mask that's constantly pushing a stream of air
CPAP
through my nose. Yeah, CPAP mask, exactly. Do you sleep with one, Jason?
No way. I don't think I'd be able to sleep if I had one of those things on my face. But I'm very familiar with
mask on, man. It totally sucks. But my point is that I usually take a CBD gummy before I go to sleep, so that improves my sleep because I have to sleep with this catcher's mask on. It really helps improve sleep. So if you're having difficulty with sleep, I can personally attest to the fact that it does improve your sleep. Okay, let's get through this. So number 4 area is reduction of inflammation. This is an area that I'm actively researching. It's part of my research, part of the research that I'm doing. We're looking at reduction of neuroinflammation and traumatic brain injury. what we know is that CBD's anti-inflammatory properties makes it potential treatment for a variety of inflammatory conditions such as arthritis, inflammatory bowel disease, and multiple sclerosis. In a 2022 review in Frontiers of Pharmacology, it was concluded that CBD may reduce inflammation by stopping the production of something called pro-inflammatory cytokines. So you've probably heard me talk about this in the past. Pro-inflammatory cytokines are molecules that are generated by our immune system. They're molecules that are signaling agents that amplify the impact of inflammation in the body. And so the reason why immune responses like cytokine storm, which we've talked about here on High at 9 News, a way that we can attack COVID is that we're basically tamping down the body's immune response. And often what happens in these immune responses is there's a lot of collateral damage. So that's what happens exactly in COVID, which is that your body is trying to ward off this virus, and this cytokine storms ends up damaging a lot of very critical functions, again, in the pulmonary functions in the lung, which is very responsible for our life. So the sixth area is cancer symptom relief. Again, an area that I'm actively researching. So for individuals undergoing cancer treatment, CBD may help alleviate chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. A 2020 studies in the Annals of Oncology, a very highly respected journal that oncologists read and tend to believe when articles are published there in a peer-reviewed journal, found that individuals who received a combination of THC as well as CBD experienced significant relief in these systems or these symptoms, right? This is basically chemotherapy-induced nausea. Something that actually Meshulam showed early on is that even at psychoactive doses of THC completely blocked all chemotherapy-induced nausea in children. Here they're seeing with a 25% experienced no vomiting compared to 14% who received placebo. So there's definitely an effect here. Results are promising, but again, they're saying that more research is needed. Okay, and the seventh and final area is that it helps with neurological disorders. So again, something that I'm actively researching, which is that CBD is shown promise in treating a variety of neurological disorders, including multiple sclerosis, which we've already talked about, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, and Huntington's disease. Research indicate that CBD can help reduce muscle spasms and improve mobility in multiple sclerosis patients. And in a 2022 review in the Frontiers of Pharmacology, they found that CBD may help protect neurons, reduce inflammation, potentially benefiting from those in neurodegenerative disorders. I won't read much more of this article because it goes on again to describe that CBD is available as tinctures and gummies. This is old hat for most of our watchers. But they also illustrate some of the side effects of CBD. And I didn't know this, Dr. T. I don't know if you want to elaborate on any of this, but it says CBD is generally safe for most individuals, but some may experience mild side effects such as fatigue, dry mouth, changes in appetite. Other side effects, possible side effects include diarrhea, trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, which is interesting, right? Because we just said it was good for staying asleep. So maybe, again, this is one of those things in biology that's a biphasic response. At certain doses in certain patients, it's going to help with sleep. At other doses in other patients, it's going to just send you the other way and have you have difficulty falling asleep. So weight loss. I never heard that, Dr. T. So have you heard that? That's a side effect of CBD use, weight loss? I never heard of that.
I have.
Stomach pain or stomach discomfort or just GI discomfort in general. Excessive saliva and drooling. I never heard of that, neither. And difficulty walking. So Dr. Gayani, again, advises consulting a healthcare professional like our beloved Dr. T here. I'm trying to bring you some more business there, John. before using CBD, especially if you have pre-existing medical conditions or are taking any additional medications, or additionally, if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, those patients should probably not be using CBD. Is that right, Dr. T? So if you're pregnant or if you're breastfeeding, is that how do you advise your patients on that?
I advise them that people have used it, and if they choose to use it, then there may be a risk. You know, they put that risk for breastfeeding and pregnancy on everything because it's really unethical to do the studies, and so they essentially put all products into that category.
Well, what we know is that CBD is, again, fat soluble. Milk is basically emulsified fat. So it probably is very likely that if you're ingesting CBD, taking like a daily dose of maintenance, either a tincture or a gummy, it's very likely that if you are breastfeeding and you're expressing milk, that there will be CBD and CBD metabolites, probably more important, at some level in that milk. Is that fair to say, Dr. T?
That's true. Same with THC.
Yeah. So whether that has a deleterious impact on the infant, I think what you're saying, Dr. T, until we really do a cross-sectional or longitudinal study, follow those patients throughout life, we really don't know whether or not that's affecting the baby in a bad way. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, exactly. Right on.
So anyway, Dr. T, this is just, again, the fact that this is in Forbes, the fact that this gets picked up by a lot of social media feeds that probably may not even think about CBD, I think this is good. I think it's good that they are citing, these reviews are no older than 2022. Some of them are published in 2025. Again, in all 7 of these areas, they're calling for more research. So that's great for researchers like me. But again, we need to write our congressmen and our congresspeople and tell them to have RFK turn on the NIH funding again, so researchers like me and the people who are cited here can continue to do this research, and we could continue winning doctors over. Maybe like this conference that I attended, CanMed, Dr. T, is a great venue where doctors like Barney Goldstein and Deb Kimless and Dustin Sulak, some of the notable Canada doctors. Dr. T, you would be great for that venue. I'm going to try to see if we can get you to speak at our next CanMed. I think they're going to have it up here in New England. So be ready to visit the beautiful Northeast next summer.
Make sure you get plenty of mosquito repellent, Dr. T. Okay, they got lots of mosquitoes up there. All right.
I'll give them plenty of bug repellent. But hey, that's my story today. I know I probably took too much time. Dr. Mark from the halls of St. Michael's College here in Colchester, Vermont. I'd be interested in what my other correspondents have to say on this story.
CBD. I mean, it had the best marketing campaign ever for cannabis overall with Sanjay Gupta. I don't know how much I put in the fact that this is in Forbes, though. I mean, Forbes is like a pay-to-play article, so I'm not sure how many people take it super, super seriously anymore. But anything that helps promote the plant and all that, I'm all the way for all day. And CBD, I think, has been the largest net to catch individuals and change their minds when it comes to cannabis overall.
Well, yeah, and Jason, what people need to know is like with Gavin Newsom's broad stroke of banning all hemp-derived cannabinoids is that there are patients, and again, Bonnie's patients in the Los Angeles area, I'm sure, that are now forced to go to trap market products, right? And I don't know, we kind of talked about this a little bit, Dr. T, like, you think those patients would end up going to Epidiolex, but clearly Epidiolex.
No, they're not going to go to Epidiolex.
They're going to go to Epidiolex, but don't.
No, they won't.
Dr. T.
They're not going to go to Epidiolex.
A full spectrum or a broad spectrum tincture or medicine is more effective than an isolate-based medicine like Epidiolex.
Yeah, I mean, again, in talking to the person, everyone's got an individual situation. I had a patient who we used a lot of type 3 flower with her and her seizures, and it worked pretty well, although it wasn't consistent. And at one point, Mom was frustrated with that and has found more consistency in using Epidiolex. So, so there's one situation where it improved. But we can access CBD. We can grow it in our backyard. I think it should be in the water. Actually, it's been shown to reduce mosquito counts in water.
Right.
I think it should be in our toothpaste. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It reduces
the larvae.
Yeah, the larvae. Yeah, exactly.
There's so many. I mean, you wouldn't think that there's such a wonder molecule like CBD, like the way that they thought vitamin C was in the past, right? But I could see in the future vitamin C being fortified into everything from infant formula to geriatric medicine and everything in between, right? Because it's that useful. And Dr. T, I don't know if you've ever witnessed a patient undergoing epileptic seizure getting the CBD under the tongue, and that seizure stops. I've seen that with my own eyes. I've witnessed that, and I'll bet you there's people in the chat who have witnessed that. When you see that, when you see just a few drops of a tincture completely lay rest to a seizure, you will be convinced that this is real medicine that's going to help real people, right? There's nothing like seeing that and witnessing that.
I think it was a YouTube video that I saw.
Yeah.
Let me guess,
there's a YouTube video
inside
a state capitol that was having a hearing on medical cannabis and on CBD. I forget what state it is. I want to say it was somewhere down south, like Arkansas or something like that. And there was a medical patient with a mom right in there, Dr. T, right in front of all those state Congress people. They this kid had a seizure. Mom gave him a couple drops of CBD and the seizure stopped. And I think, things like that can really convince people when they see it for themselves.
Interesting. Any final thoughts, Jenny or Jesse?
Yeah, sorry to run on, guys.
No worries, bro. This is CBD. It's an important thing. It's an important thing, you know what I'm saying, the CBD. And on that,
I'm just curious why Forbes is doing this. It sounds like they're trying to, there's a resurgence in the CBD market.
No, I'm willing to bet that some company paid for this to promote their products. And I'm sure if you scroll down to the end, there's some type of promotion for their product of how their CBD is the best CBD. Because there was also another article that I found today that was talking about Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil proclaiming the amazing benefits of CBD and how and when I went into the article, all it basically was for some new CBD gummy line that they are pushing and had them claiming how their CBD was stronger and better than everybody else's and and it was just a big old puff piece.
So when you scroll down to the bottom of this Forbes article, there's a link to best CBD gummies.
Yep. See. Yep. That's it.
Oil,
that's
best
why.
CBD for sleep.
Told you it's a puff piece.
Go to those, they actually recommend products that are probably underwriting this.
Exactly. That's because Forbes is all pay to play. People pay to put their stuff into Forbes, and that's all Forbes is now anymore. They're not a real publication anymore. But nonetheless, we're going to roll into our final commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, And I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade. And in a GMP certified facility, so you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where am I even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Oh, yes, and we are back, you guys. We are back.
All right. Coming up next, the founder of Barney Design Co., Washington Ginger Wook Grandpa of the Year, 2025, and Gwen Barney's husband, longtime cannabis professional, whether Nick says it or not, Jesse Barney.
Oh, that's so good. That's so classic.
Turning up the jealousy fire day by day.
Yep.
My story comes out of our lovely friend Rochelle's Green State today. New Jersey hits major weed milestone. Despite cannabis being legal in many states, smoking in public is still largely taboo. As an alternative, a few states have legalized cannabis lounges, social consumption spaces that are attached to dispensaries, giving consumers the chance to buy and use weed in a streamlined process. 2 weeks ago, New Jersey opened applications to operate these lounges, and results have come quickly. On Tuesday, New Jersey's Cannabis Regulatory Commission approved 4 cannabis consumption lounges to begin business, a decision that's been a long time coming. The 4 businesses, High Rollers Dispensary, Sunny Tien Dispensary, Ginseng, and Urban Dispensary, endured 3 application rounds before being approved to open. They are all considered diversely owned businesses by the State Department of Treasury, meaning each company is either minority-owned, women-owned, or disabled veteran-owned. We are beyond relieved to finally have our CRC approval in our consumption lounge. Construction has been completed for over 2 years. The dispensary has been operational for over 15 months, and we're able to finally expand our business to its original design and potential, Spencer Bells from Sunny Tien told Green State. Consumers aged 21 and above will be able to purchase and consume cannabis in these establishments, promoting responsible consumption practices. The 4 lounges will not be opened until each passes a final inspection by state regulators. Whether individuals cannot consume cannabis inside their homes or simply wish to consume cannabis legally and responsibly, these areas provide a practical solution. We are proud to support this next phase of safe use infrastructure in our state, said Commission Chair Diana Honu. New Jersey consumption lounges will be prohibited from selling food or alcohol. The first one doesn't really make sense, but patrons can bring food or have it delivered at the discretion of local governments. They will also have the ability to partner with rideshare services to ensure that attendees get home safely by discouraging buzzed driving. Medical users are also able to bring their own flower to smoke. Consumption lounges are new for New Jersey. This will be a learning experience to see what works, what our customers want, and what supports our brands. We look forward to this journey and the opportunity to make history in this cannabis market, said Bells. The state continues to take rolling applications for additional lounges. This advancement comes at a time of New Jersey's increased condemnation of the illicit market. In May, a bill was filed that the state would make operating an unlicensed marijuana business a third-degree crime. Purchasing from one would be a disorderly persons offense. Running illegal marijuana business networks would be classified as a second-degree crime, and the state is also known for its exorbitantly high weed prices, making participation in the legal market hard for some. Still, this bill marks an exciting time for New Jersey's legal weed business owners and consumers as lounges hopefully continue to pop up around the state. Stoners will have the chance to build a widespread community and go share what makes cannabis special to them. Well, it's high time that New Jersey does something right in their cannabis legalization and regulation efforts, and allowing people to have spaces where they can smoke in public and be together is one of those steps. So I'm pretty excited for this, and I would love to hear what my fellow correspondents have to say about it.
Consumption lounges in New Jersey. I mean, why do you need to go to a consumption lounge in New Jersey when you could just go to New York and smoke in the streets?
Just saying, like, I don't. You know, I think the consumption lounges it's a tough business. It's a very tough business because you're creating an environment, you're creating an atmosphere, and trying to create an experience, all while basically having to operate a restaurant and operate a cannabis dispensary and stay within compliant regulations and everything. And to me, it's a lot of work.
And my daughter in the chat makes a great point why you would go smoke in a consumption lounge in New Jersey instead of in the streets of New York, because you live in New Jersey.
That's right. I was just going to say, because you don't want to get on the turnpike.
I mean, you hop on the train, bro. It's not even a big deal. People do that all day, every day out there. They're totally used to that.
Well, yeah, but to make that convenient, you got to be in certain parts of New Jersey. Isn't it just like every block and every place in every town in New Jersey is easy to access that?
I don't know, Jesse. New Jersey's a pretty small state.
Still.
Oh boy.
Just saying. No, but best of luck to all the people that were granted these licenses. I do hope the best for them overall. But you know, I'm just time will tell. I mean, are people out there saying, oh, you know what, we need consumption lounges, or are they just going to be kind of a thing that, you know, the people are novelty about for the first year, and then they start to fizzle and dry off and whatnot? Because I think that's happened in a lot of places, especially in a lot of cities that don't have high tourism. I mean, we've seen that it's even happened in Las Vegas, where their whole thing is all about tourism, where these consumption lounges aren't able to really be profitable and maximize and do what they're designed to do.
Well, they're rarely pulled off correctly. I mean, there's a bunch of restrictions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things is like Las Vegas is a great example of how it could or hasn't worked so far.
Yeah. It's a perfect example.
What you need is a consumption lounge in each hotel that's really close.
I'm with that.
To be just like
that would be
bar,
great.
right?
That would be great.
Like
yes.
You're gonna go into a hotel like the Cosmo or whatever your favorite hotel is.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to go to a bar, and there's a specific room that you can go purchase drinks in, right? And they don't have that kind of accessibility and capability where it's just like, oh, there's a consumption lounge in every hotel that has its own ventilation and its own, you know, separate cannabis friendly area. It's like you got to leave the hotel, take an Uber to another part of town, go to some
too many steps.
It's like too hard. There's too many things, and I love how Yarrow often says, you know, if we just think about this with parity and bringing this just like other industries, that's where we should treat it like any other smoking lounge. Whether
if they allow for cigar bars, they should just allow
exactly. And you should treat it like that, and you should treat it like alcohol. You should treat it like a bar. You should be able to have one in any hotel or in any space. All it has to be is well ventilated, so that you're not smelling and etc.
Why do they always have in these laws that no food to be served? I don't get that. What's the danger of having food served? It's the perfect place to have food served.
I agree with you, Dr. T. It's like it's very prohibitive for them to be able to do that in relation to you know, and it makes it really, really difficult for these places to operate and be able to, you know, offer other things, because it's all about the experience. And like, who wants to go and smoke somewhere where they can't eat? It's like going over to your friend's house and like, hey, we're gonna go smoke. You know what I mean? But we don't have any food in the fridge. You know what I mean? Well,
I think like, Dr. T, this goes to the correlation that is made with smoking, right? And people think of smoking as it's just across the board what it is. And as we talked about earlier, smoking cannabis is not the same as smoking tobacco. In fact, we have many studies that show that cannabis smokers have better lungs than people who don't smoke anything at all. We have studies that show that. But the general public and the regulators don't know that. So when they allow these smoking lounges, they just hear that word smoking, and they just correlate it with any kind of smoking, and they say, well, we don't allow smoking in an eating establishment. So that just isn't allowed. I think that's why, Dr. T.
How about eating in a smoking establishment? Do they allow that?
Right, exactly. I know it's
Well,
stupid logic.
You guys are exactly right, because every cigar bar that I've ever been to has food and beverage.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and even if they don't necessarily have food because they don't have a kitchen or anything else like that, they'll have snacks. They'll allow you to order food over, you know what I'm saying, DoorDash or Uber Eats and whatever, you know what I'm saying, you know, whatever thing. And, you know, they've always been very encouraging of that, because their whole goal is to keep you there, sitting there and comfortable as long as they possibly can. Because the longer that you stay there, the more that you're going to smoke and you're going to consume and have a good time and and X, Y, and Z, and the more ability that they have to create an upsell on that ticket. And so
also doctors, I've never heard a study on this, but I know anecdotally, you know, if you smoke really good weed and you get super high and you're in a state where you shouldn't drive, eating food anecdotally definitely calms down your high and makes you, quote unquote,
it'll dilute it. It'll dilute your high.
That terminology, because I don't think it's accurate, but I think it's as close as we have, maybe. But don't you think that that's the case, Dr. T? Is there any studies behind that, behind food coming behind cannabis and what it does to
watch? We're going to find one next week.
Cannabinoids in the body.
Well, you're satisfied. I mean, THC will stimulate your appetite, right, through a lot of hormonal influences, and then by eating the food, you satisfy that stimulated appetite through other hormonal influences. So it's playing with, you know, the balance of THC and satiety and appetite stimulation by introducing food into there. I'm sure it has an effect, but you know, whether it makes you able to drive better, I don't know. I would say no.
Even with a certain amount of time, do you think?
Well, time, of course, yeah.
I've noticed that if I'm really high and I eat, it seems like the high dissipates faster than if I don't eat.
Maybe.
And that's an anecdotal experience that I think people experience. But is there any science behind it?
Not yet. We need further study.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. I imagine probably next week we're going to end up, next couple of weeks, Dr. T, we're going to find a study that's like, hey, if you're over high, you know what I mean? Can't eat some food and it'll dilute it. You know what I mean?
You know, just the idea of studying the high is fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have in our research group something called the Cannabis Mind Initiative, which is about understanding the high. But, you know, one person's high is different than another person's high. So even defining that is fun challenge.
Fair. Yeah, you know, and you know, Steve Blessingham in the chat, he says a nice cold Topo Chico will get you right up.
Some people drink coffee.
I do love Topo Chico.
I don't know what that is.
It's a little beverage.
It's a sparkling water. It's a water. It's a sparkling water, but it's a Mexican sparkling water, so the bubbles are smaller. Really good.
Interesting. Interesting how you guys phrase that. Very, very interesting. Well. That was a fascinating story. Mm-hmm.
All right, bringing up the rear. Jason Beck's going to sound some things out for us. What you got for us to end the day with, Jason?
I got a good story. Yeah, I got another good story for you guys to end the week on, you guys, because Senate Appropriations Committee approves a military spending bill with a provision allowing VA doctors to recommend medical marijuana, you guys. That's right. The Senate Appropriations Committee has advanced a full military, construction, Veterans Affairs, and Commerce, Justice, Science Appropriations Act for fiscal year 2025, including a key amendment that would allow the Department of Veterans Affairs doctors to recommend medical marijuana in states where it is legal. The amendment, sponsored by Senator Jeff Merkley, a Democrat from Oregon, was included in the Military Construction and Veterans Affairs portion of the legislation, and it would prohibit the VA from using its federal funds to enforce a long-standing policy that prevents its healthcare providers from assisting patients with accessing state-approved medical marijuana programs. A similar provision was recently approved by the House as part of its version of the Military Construction and Veterans Affairs funding bill, and specifically, the measure would block enforcement of Veterans Health Directive 1315, which currently bars VA doctors from recommending or complying completing forms for veterans seeking medical marijuana. The directive also mandates that VA officials remind staff of the prohibition and instruct facility leaders to ensure strict compliance. With the full committee's approval, the legislation now heads to the Senate floor, and if enacted, the amendment would mark a major step towards improving access to medical marijuana for veterans suffering from conditions like PTSD and other chronic pain, you guys. Look at that, Jenny Beth. Some great news today coming out of D.C. for our veterans, and hopefully we can get this bill across the finish line. What do y'all have to say about this?
Good news.
That's fucking phenomenal news. This is
It's
huge.
not attached to anything.
Well, it's part of a spending bill. It's part of a spending bill. So it's not a standalone bill, Dr. T. It got included into a bill which ultimately is going to pass because it's already gone through the House, and now it's just working its way through the Senate. So it seems as though now that it's made it through the Appropriations Committee, since that technically would be considered an appropriation, it seems as though that it's on the fast track to be able to be approved. I think maybe the only hiccup it may possibly have, and I'm not sure if this bill has gone through the Senate Judiciary Committee yet, but I think that could be the possible only hiccup in regards to that. But from this, according to this article, it's already gone through the House. So even if it does not make it in the Senate version, there is a possibility that it will get included in a reconciliation when the bill takes its final form. So I'm hopefully optimistic that this will go through, and I can't wait for the doctors at the VA to be able to recommend cannabis to our veterans. I think this is phenomenal news today.
You know, it's interesting. Patient-focused legislation passes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we could attach safe banking to something patient-focused, maybe it would have passed already. You know, or all the other ones that are having difficulty crossing.
Well, safe banking is going to get attached with the cryptocurrency bill that's going to be coming out, and that is making steady progress as well, Dr. T. So that's going to be a go. That's going to be a go. Probably not until after the midterms, but that's going to be a go.
Still doesn't mean they have to bank with us. So there's that.
No, they don't have to, but nonetheless, it removes the ability for them to say that they can't do it, and I think that ultimately is the ultimate goal of what we're trying to get done. And also too, that, you know what I mean, when safe banking passes, that's good, because that will remove Operation Choke Point. It's going to help a whole host of other industries as well, not just cannabis.
I hear they want to attach legislation to that to remove the Coldplay kiss cam. Is that true?
I don't even know what you're talking about on that.
Oh, dude, that's the best meme going around the internet right now, dude.
It's so good.
You haven't seen that, Jason?
No, I haven't.
Dude, it's a CEO and a woman who's HR at the same company, and they're at a Coldplay concert where the Coldplay concert had a kiss cam with a giant screen above it,
like they do at the Lakers games and stuff.
Yep, and they pop on this CEO and the HR, and as soon as they realize they're on the camera, they both duck and hide and run away
Because they're both having affairs. They're having an affair
and they work at the same company.
Oh, that's so good. I mean, oh man, you know,
it's pretty.
That's
tight.
great. That's great.
You got to chase that down on X today. It's.
I'm just gonna wait for you to send it to me in a DM, Jesse.
I'll find one and send it to you for sure.
Yeah, I'll get a kick out of that, most definitely.
Here I am thinking I'm going to get a rise out of Jason because I'm dropping some, you know.
I mean, you just gave me a new wrinkle in my brain, Dr. Mark. That is technically a rise. Just saying.
I'm glad they don't have that kiss cam at Fish concerts.
Oh man.
Oh, they can't, dude. They can't have a camera on anybody in the audience.
I know.
Just watching, if you watch Couch Tour and watch the streams, once in a while they show the audience and you get enough, just 2 seconds on the audience and you get some really fun stuff to see.
Mm-hmm.
You can low-key smell it.
Well. Any final thoughts on this VA measure, Dr. T?
Good news.
Good news,
Great
right?
news.
I thought so. I thought, look at that. We ended. I found a good story every single day this week, you guys, to end the show on. I'm lightweight impressed with myself right now. Anyways, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Aim High Hemp Distribution, Tested, and Catalyst for helping us keep the lights on over here. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. And thank you to Cloud Media partners Elias and Kai somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.